Good evening, guys, and happy Thursday to all of your sunshiny faces. My goodness, guys, it was a high of 80 degrees today in April. But I think tomorrow it's supposed to be only a high of 79. Saturday's supposed to be a high of 80. Then on Sunday it's supposed to rain and cool down. By Monday we were supposed to have snow. So while my windows are open right now, by the end of the weekend I will have to have them closed because we will have snow. I can't even fathom that. I am in shorts and a tank top, and I am like, actually, I will say though, even though it was 1 degree warmer today for a high than it was yesterday, I don't know like what the average was for the day, like in total, like what it like, you know, averaged out to as far as like during the day and how warm it was like compared to yesterday. Like, although I'm kind of thinking that again too, it's probably the same thing where it wasn't like, oh, it was like cool during like, you know, like earlier in the day today and then got warm again, you know, like I said, I'm kind of thinking that it wasn't different really from yesterday and today. But I felt worse yesterday. Like, for some reason I felt way hotter yesterday than I did today. And I felt really bad though, because I told you guys how normally after Easter, if we end up doing a ham for Easter, or sometimes too we will just like get a ham like during the Easter sale, even if we're not cooking it for Easter, and we'll get a ham and then we'll end up like, you know, like I said, like cooking it a couple days later or whatever. And then normally right after that we always make split pea soup with a ham bone. And so I've seen like, or heard, I guess, people do that a lot of times for like beans, but we always do split pea soup. And so I ended up, though, I told you guys I bought 2 bags of split peas at Meijer, and I only needed the one bag, like the one bag, and it made so much, guys. I actually had enough to freeze it, but that's what I ended up making for dinner tonight, was split pea soup, which, like I said, it's hot out. It's like 80 degrees. I was like, nobody in the right mind is going to want soup, but I didn't know what to do. Like, do I freeze the ham bone, because I don't want it to be like sitting for like over a week and then, you know, like not use it. And so, like I said, I ended up serving everybody hot soup on a hot day. But there was like so much like leftover ham on the bone that it ended up making like a lot, like it had a lot of chunks of ham. And like I've had like, you know, again, back when I ate meat too, like ham where it's like, oh, just little like slices and stuff like that. Mine was like a stew. Like, it was like ham, like was the main ingredient. Not really, but it was a lot of ham actually on there, which is really awesome because that means we got a lot. But again too, we ended up having enough leftovers that I'm freezing a whole bag and we'll use it at another point for like, you know, a soup, you know, hopefully when it's cooler out. But again, guys, I can't even. I actually ended up opening both of my windows today, which I didn't do until the evening. So that's why too, like I was like, oh well, maybe today too felt like not as hot as yesterday did because I have both windows open. But like I said, I didn't do that until way later in the afternoon, because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, you know, it's gonna still be warm for another 2 days. I might as well just open up my windows. But it's honestly getting to the point, guys, kind of where like I don't really want to do anything. Like, it's too hot though to like even lay around in bed and watch like, you know, shows or TV shows or movies or anything like that, because like I just feel so like hot and gross, like being in bed, and like I'm not even under any blankets or anything like that, but I just still feel like hot. And so like even again sitting and like editing, like I didn't want to edit today. I mean, I actually edited 4 vlogs. I uploaded 4 as well. I got a lot done as far as like that goes today, but like having the lap desk on my lap, like with my computer on top of it, like it was just way too hot to like have that today. And so like I just, and like I said too, I don't want to even be up doing anything. Like, just like the more my body is moving, the warmer I'm getting. And you know, but at the same time too, like laying in my bed, even not under any covers or anything like that, I still feel really warm and like gross. And so Yeah, we have 3 fans though in the attic, like stand-up fans, and I was like, we could all just like grab a fan. And because again too, it honestly, I'm scared it's gonna get me too cold in my room at night because I have both windows open now. I told you guys the first night I was like, I don't want it to get too cold in my room, I have my window open like a crack, and then yesterday I had the window fully open, and then now tonight I got 2 windows open. I was like, I'm gonna be at the point where I can't do anything else. Although it's funny though, I did hear our neighbors air conditioning going, but I am like, it's too early, and if it's supposed to snow on Monday, like why would we end up like, you know, like turning the air conditioning on again for it to get cold again that quickly. Like I said, it's 2 days, and we can again turn the air conditioning on and then turn the heat on the next day. But again too, it just seems like I was toying with that idea a little bit, but you know, like I said, it's not too bad at night when both the windows are open, at least so far in my room, because like I can feel it, like it does feel a little bit cooler. But you know, again, it's just like, and after I take a shower too is normally not quite as bad, like because normally I'm taking a cooler shower. So anyways though guys, I just think that's hilarious. But that's the Midwest weather, you know, we get 80-degree days and then we will get snow the very next day. There's one day in between though, but it's still supposed to be like 70 something or like high 60s I think on Sunday, and then it's supposed to get cold enough where it's going to snow again too though. That's still a couple days out, so I'll wait to make the verdict whether or not it is actually going to snow. But like, because some days too, like it'll be like, oh, snow, but then it'll actually like get warm enough where it doesn't snow and they change it to rain. But again too, it's going to be like that cool. However though, so we're supposed to get that little like cold, you know, spurt in there, and it's going to be cold for again a handful of days. It's supposed to get back up into the 70s then. So like I said, we're living in the middle of summer right now, and I'm going, where on earth is spring? Like I'm feeling kind of bad for all of my little plants outside, because they're all probably going like, you know, wishing that, you know, there was more rainwater because it's so stinking hot outside and it's, you know, not raining enough. It's supposed to be spring showers bring May flowers, and right now it's like there's no, well, I mean, again too, it's supposed to rain on Sunday, and you know, all the snow that had melted, and it's not muddy outside though, and it's like I said, it's only warm out. It's like the plants that are coming in right now, like all of our daisies and or not the daisies, all of the tulips and the like what else is out there that we have? No, yeah, our daisies, I think. No, not daisies. Daffodils. That's the word. That's the one I was looking for. The hyacinths, like all that kind of stuff. Like those are all coming in, and they're not hot weather plants. They're like the cool, you know, that's why they start coming up in the spring, because they're not, you know, like hot weather plants. And so they're probably very confused right now as to why it's so, you know, blazingly hot outside. But again, as I was saying, I ended up though still, even though I didn't want to, I still got to a lot of editing, but it's just like, it's not like, I'm like, I should be doing laundry and doing dishes, and I didn't do that today though. Although like I said, I did sit in bed all day, but like even just sitting there, I was like, I'm so hot. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Like I did make though, again, dinner, which I spent, you know, some time in the morning, I guess, making the split pea soup, but again, I feel bad like feeding it to everybody, but at the same time too, it's like I don't want the food to go to waste either, you know, the stuff that we already have. And again, I have froze just the ham bone in the past, and then I'll just throw it in when I make the split pea soup, because that's pretty much actually how I really make it. Is that I will just follow sort of, I followed basically the instructions that were on the back of it as far as like what to add. I was like carrots and onions and garlic and I don't know, something else. And then ended up just adding the ham bone in there, and then all the pieces too when it cooks, in the water, I guess. And then when all the pieces like cook, the rest of the like ham just falls off the bone. So it's like excess ham that you probably would have thrown away anyway, because it's like the leftovers, you know, like we already sliced the ham up, but it's just the leftovers from it. And like I said too, it had a lot of leftover ham on there. So again, we've got enough that we, you know, made, you know, just the one package made basically 2 dinners, and we used leftover ham off the bone that, like I said, would probably have been thrown away. And I spent, you know, under $1.50 I think for the one package of split peas. And then, like I said, I ended up using an onion, cut up some baby carrots, and again too used water. That was pretty much it for the most part. Like I said, some garlic, but again, really wasn't too much else. And I cooked it in the slow cooker, so that's how I do it, because again too, when I cook in the slow cooker, that ham, it just falls right off the bone. I assume you could probably do it in a stock pot too, but like I said, I just followed the directions around the back that says split pea soup, and that's what I went with. But normally when I make split pea soup anyway, it's very similar to that. The other thing too, guys, is that though while I was editing in the afternoon, because I edited earlier in the day and then again in the afternoon, so that's why I got so much edited, but when I was doing that, I was watching the Blackhawks game, which was the last game of the season. It was at home, and it also was our captain's you know, last game as a Blackhawk. I've only been to one game, and when we went for Matthew's birthday, I think in 2017, everybody ended up getting like Blackhawk sweaters. You guys can see mine's actually back there in my mountain of clothes. And I think Jack, though, he got a shirt at the time, because they like didn't have a kid size or something like that, so my dad just ended up getting him a like I said, just like a t-shirt. And a hat, I think. So, and then we all got like the sweaters. So, and I think too, my dad might have not gotten it from him. My dad was like, he's just gonna grow out of it. So I think that was why he just ended up getting him a shirt. But like I said, at the time, we all ended up getting, you know, a sweater. And so everybody so far that we all ended up getting, I think my mom had Kane. She was the last one next to me, still had the same, you know, like nobody else was left on the team, and I ended up getting a Jonathan Toews sweater. And so, like I said, everybody like picked their favorites Blackhawk at the time, and you know, like I said, my dad ended up getting us all the sweaters, and again, Jack the shirt when we ended up going to the game. So mine was the only Blackhawk that was still left on the team, and I really wanted to wear it tonight, you know, since again too, this was his final game as a Blackhawk, which I got a little emotional just because, like, to me, I feel like Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are like kind of like the Michael Jordan right now of like this era of like hockey, and especially too like for Chicago, because like there's not a lot of other like players that have had like such a long tenure with one team, and or also were drafted by that team as well, that, you know, like I said, played consistently with the same team, and also too were part of a dynasty era like Michael Jordan was. So I feel like for like me and like Matthew and Jack too, like watching like the Stanley Cup years, it was kind of like the same thing. And again too, there's no like players that I can think of again too with before, you know, or like after Michael Jordan that's ever done that in professional sports in Chicago other than them two. And so like I said, that's why like I got a little emotional. But the thing is, I really wanted to wear it today. There is no way I'm wearing that while it's 80 degrees outside. So like I said, I really wanted to, but I had it out and I was like, oh, like I'll probably wear it this week or something like that, but can't wear it, it's too hot. So anyways, like I said, I was a little like choked up about like thinking about that. And like I said too, especially when you think about like, you know, that impact, like I said, I think that Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews were the two, you know, like I said, in professional sports in Chicago that have done that really since Michael Jordan. And like even too, like when I look back on like, you know, my grandma was a big White Sox fan. And so when they won the World Series, again, that was in 2006 or 4 or 5, whatever that was. I don't even really remember. I was like too little, and I was, like I said, we're Cubs fans in our household except my grandma that year. I think it was actually like one of the first years she moved in with us, and they ended up winning the World Series, and my grandma was all, you know, like rubbing it in our face and stuff like that. And then we, you know, the Cubs win the World Series, but like that team broke up so quickly after that. And like I said too, I don't really know much about, like, you know, like again, the White Sox and what players and stuff like that, but like, you know, that one championships, multiple championships too. Like I said, you know, like the White Sox only won the one and the Cubs only won the one. So even too, when I look back on that, like Bryant and Baez and Rizzo and stuff like that from like the Cubs, you know, like that didn't last very long, and they weren't necessarily all players that were like drafted with that team and then end up then, you know, not necessarily retiring, but the amount of time spent with the team that like drafted them, you know, from Chicago, you know, like lasted for, you know, a very long time. Like I said, the only person that I could say really was like that was Michael Jordan. And so, you know, but again, to see that myself, you know, because again too, I was kind of, you know, I kind of understood like basketball, I feel like, during the Michael Jordan era, but I wasn't that really like into it. You know, I really feel like the reason I watched and paid attention to a lot of sports and I started getting into sports so much was, it was funny, the year I think I watched like almost every single sports game, and now I do the same thing too. Like, you know, again, my dad would always put like, you know, baseball games or football games on or whatever, you know, but it was just kind of like while he was doing laundry or something like that, and, you know, just be on. But I really like got into like trying to make sure that like I was watching a lot of the sports games again too, across all of the different sports, you know, especially again our Chicago sports teams. But it was the 2017, I think it was 2017 year or 2016 year. It was actually the year the Cubs won the World Series. I watched every single, like almost, I probably watched 85% of the baseball games that year that the Cubs played. And so like I feel like though the reason I started even getting into like really watching and paying attention to sports was because of the hockey more than anything, because, you know, I watched like the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think the first year that they won, and then kind of again too like the playoffs, you know, but I never really watched all of the games, you know, throughout the whole year and stuff like that until, you know, but that was like until I think, like I said, it was about 2016, and it was around that year. And I was watching, like I said, like basketball, baseball, football, like, and I wouldn't miss a game unless, again, too, like something was going on, or, you know, something else came up, or, you know, I couldn't have access to a TV or whatever it was. Most of the time, again, too, if I'm just sitting around in my room, or again, too, even if I'm doing something, a lot of times I'll put the game on and then just go and, you know, like I said, do kind of whatever it is and come in and check on it. And like, I think that was the year I downloaded the ESPN app. So even if I can't watch it, I'm always staying up to date with, like, you know, again, whatever the scores are and stuff like that, and just the news and the buzz. But I didn't start doing that, I don't think, until really like the like I said, the Stanley Cup sort of years of you know, hockey. And so that's when, like I said, you know, the buzz around that was so big, so I started getting into that, and I was like, you know what, let's watch the basketball, let's watch, you know. And I will say too, like I did watch like Derrick Rose in the playoffs in basketball as well, like, so, you know, and I like Sammy Sosa was like the hottest thing, you know, like since sliced bread when I was little, like in baseball too. So like I said, like I watched a lot of that stuff as well. It just wasn't like, you know, and it was normally like playoff, you know, like times when I would watch it. But again too, when I really got into like watching like every game following, you know, like, oh, the Hawks won tonight, you know, again too, the Bulls won, you know, or they lost, or, you know, whatever. Like, it wasn't, I would watch just the regular season games, which I normally didn't do. And like I said, I think that's the Hawks kind of, and especially too, like I said, Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves, who were staples on those teams for those years, kind of inspired that. And so that's why, and I love watching sports, and I think I wouldn't have had there not been such a hype. And, you know, I didn't enjoy watching it so much because I was like, wow, watching the playoffs is so much fun. I was like, I want more. And so that's when I started watching just regular season games, which, like I said, you know, every once in a while you turn it on, but like I didn't follow it like religiously like I kind of do now. And like I said, I will turn it on and edit at the same time, you know, or whatever. But, you know, again, I think that that's kind of one of the reasons that I like watching it so much now, and I started watching it, but again, it was bittersweet because it's definitely the end of a whole era of, you know, a dynasty team, and the last piece of that is pretty much gone now. So anyways, guys, like I said, I wanted to honor him, to do it right, to wear the jersey, but I couldn't. It's too hot. I left it on my, like I said, sitting there, but I'm not, you know, putting that on because it's too hot. So I'm going to go cool down and take a shower now, but I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.